Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is Ron. A little after 10 a.m. We get started this Saturday morning. See if we have any questions. The last time we talked, Rainey asked a question that I thought was very interesting, uh, kind of giving us an opportunity to really define and take a look at what it means to be Elohim and that connection with the creator. And we discussed that. I think we discussed it Sunday and Monday. So I thought that was interesting. But any questions about that or anything else that may have crossed you this weekend?
Uh,
Yes, sir.
I I've talked to more and more people who are seem to be in a state of flux, not knowing what to do with themselves, not knowing what they feel, that kind of thing. That I guess a feeling that they never experienced before, and what that is, I have no clue. But not in such I don't have a clue in such a way that would describe everybody and what they feel. And I guess I'm saying, I thought that was interesting. That's all.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that way myself a little. Uh, Feelings, emotions, or just feeling indifferent about things. And uh, even the discussion about Elohim has me a little perplexed. Uh, I see things and I believe it, but not so much as questioning anything, but needing better understanding. And it's almost like things are in a pause right now or something, or maybe they're just my feelings on it or how I see it. And I don't know what that means, but
I think the problem is when something does not go the way you think it should, you're always trying to figure out what should you do. There's absolutely nothing to do except what you've been doing. What you've been doing brought you to this point in terms of being genuinely searching for an understanding of truth itself. It's brought you to this point. So rather than try to figure out what to do, just keep doing what you've been doing, and then questioning um, what should we be expecting? Expect nothing and get everything. Expect everything and get nothing but disappointment. See, there is a subconscious feeling when you're disappointed, and that subconscious feeling says that you want to make things different, even though your mouth is saying something else. Your mouth is saying, "Let's just be still and know that I am God. Know who I am." But you still feel anxious and you still feel uncomfortable. And when you feel anxious and you feel uncomfortable and you try to do something about it, and there's something you don't even know what it is that you're supposed to be doing, then you mess up every single time. And you make it worse for yourself because it becomes confusing to you. And that confusion makes you agitated. And that agitation creates even more confusion, not only within you, but within those around you. And you find yourself on edge. And when you're on edge, you always make mistakes.
Well, I agree with what you're saying. For me, part of it was that I was already in flux. I was already in flux because of where we are spiritually in terms of, you know, changing our mindset and sort of trying to decide within me where I am in terms of all that. So I was already there. And then to have this all political stuff happen, it's like another layer on top of that. So, so yeah, it is confusing.
Of course.
And I'm not sure where I am for either. Well, for the first one, I'm kind of sure, but you know, there's still some processing going on. But the second one, just in terms of the political, it just, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense.
And therein lies your role, Audrey. We are allowing politics to be our God.
Yeah.
And God
Yeah.
we've always been led by that. And we've always ended up, well, confused, and low-grade anger, always trying to figure out what we're going to do next. And politics doesn't change. Only thing that politics does is change you. It changes.
Yeah, I guess we go into survival mode when it comes to politics.
And that's what we need. That's what we need to change. Survival mode means that you're merely existing, you're not living. And if you are who you say you are, there's never a time when you're not living. How in the world can we possibly think that we can carry the burden for humanity, or we can't even carry our own? When we look at politics and we talk about how illusionary all of that is, and yet we allow those illusions to determine the course of our life and to manipulate and massage our emotions. Well, I do believe that maybe we're feeling what we're feeling because we need to grow beyond that so that we can truly be who we think we are.
And maybe that's the answer. Maybe you're right, because again, if I go back to last week, last Sunday and Monday, I think some of the confusion, or maybe some of us, I'm not sure we quite understand who we say we are. I'm not sure if that's still comfortable, or it is comfortable in us. Maybe it was until it was challenged, and now that's kind of what I see. I don't know. I just think everything was kind of has been kind of challenge, or some, you know, take a look at this, take a look at that, who you are, what you say you believe, what does it mean to be Elohim? What does that do to you? Are we now in a state of being reactive versus proactive? The understanding of who you are makes you, I think, proactive if you truly see that and believe it. And the proactiveness is not the action of the proactiveness, is the meditations and seeing and believing that.
Isn't that amazing? That white nationalism has done it again. White supremacy has done it again. Has created so much confusion until Black folk don't know what to do with themselves. We have not accepted the reality that we are not Christians. We're waiting for subconsciously for something to change as opposed to just being still. How come we can't be still? How come we always have to figure it out? How come we just can't be silent and be still? I mean, think about it. What's happening now has always happened. You saw Biden and Trump shake hands, so you saw the North surrendering to the South, as happened with the Civil War. You saw and still see that white nationalism or Christian nationalism is not about Jesus, it's about power. Christian nationalism is not about morals at all. It's all about white supremacy. It has nothing to do with the Ten Commandments at all. And yet here we are in a flux. And I say we.
It certainly has nothing to do with loving your neighbor.
Absolutely nothing. And here we are in a flux. About what? Because white people did what white people do. And we are in a flux about that. We have to check ourselves. All of a sudden, let me finish. All of a sudden, white people have us on our heels and have us questioning who we are all over again. Now go ahead, Ron.
No, I think I'm trying my best to look at this as a positive and not a negative. I don't see it as negative. I see it as an opportunity for us to be rooted in who we say we are, to take a look at that again and constantly take a look at that. And as I said to you yesterday, we were talking about this, and I think I'm kind of analyze things to death sometimes. Maybe that's the part of the free will that we haven't dealt with yet. Maybe we do try to figure everything out. Maybe the analyzing everything is the problem, when all we are really called to do is be intuitive and see who you are and discover yourself and uncover layers of religion or whatever is inside of you to that's been covering truth. That is the journey that I think we keep compromising and being so. I see it more as an opportunity to be who we're supposed to be. There's this, we could look at it as being negative and say, here we go again, or we can say, okay, what do we do to fix this? What do you see here? Be honest with yourself. Where are you? And move from there. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Suppose that you're honest with yourself and you say, this is how I feel. And then you say, let's move on. Move on to what from what? Why is it that we are, and I'm including myself as well, why is it that we are seeking to analyze something that we have known has been in existence forever and a day, as opposed to continuing the journey of understanding the sacred writings?
That's what I thought I was saying. Yeah, I agree.
So let's continue to understand the sacred writings, because right now, since last Tuesday, what we have been looking at, of course, we had to address the fears. Of course, we had to do that. But what we seem to be looking at is disappointment and failure, even though we're not calling it that. We seem to be stuck in your face. This is not the first time that we've had European mindset to spit in our face. This is not the first time we've experienced that. This is not the first time that we've been lied to. This is not the first time that white women have proved to be who they are. This is not the first time that white people have been the racists and the bigots that they are. It's not the first time. The only difference is this. Biden was slick with his. Biden didn't choose Kamala Harris because she was a smart lady in his mind. He chose Kamala Harris because he felt like Kamala Harris could not overshadow him, which is racist within itself. Biden did not apologize to Anita Hill because he cared about her. Biden apologized to Anita Hill because he wanted to run for president and he knew he needed black folk. That's why he apologized to Anita Hill. Biden is bigger racist as Trump is. How you gonna sit down and all you said about this man that you know is racist, that you know is antithetical to democracy, as you put it, and now you go sit here and smile in his face like nothing is wrong. You could do a smooth transition without that. The same thing is happening. The only difference is that we have convinced ourselves that there were some good white folks who were in government who's going to do things differently. When that's not the case. The only thing that we need to focus on truly is that the one who created us knew that all of this was going to happen. And now here we are. We are questioning ourselves. We are questioning, when you question yourself, when you begin to question who you are questioning the truth that you say you believe. And that's not good. Do you really believe that? If you do believe that truth that you are, then let's move beyond the analytics when it comes to politics and look at the reality when it comes to spirituality. Does that make sense?
This is Pramel. It makes sense to me, and I have a but. But I realize that I'm really sad that more of my fellow humans didn't vote to move faster forward in my mind. That's how I'm gonna word it. Move towards more unity. But when I listened to the discussion, I realized that until we really, really peel all the way down to the soul, I had never thought that choosing another, if we had chose Kamala Harris, I was thinking in spiritual terms, whereas maybe most of us are still thinking in terms of, and me, are thinking more in terms of politics, but they're the same egg in the same basket. They just illusionary appear to be different. And I think that's what I've got to wash out of me and understand that.
May I offer something to that?
Oh, most certainly.
How is it that everything we talk about, everything that happens, we say that things happen the way they are supposed to, do we not?
We do.
So why is it, I wonder why is it, and I don't have an answer to this, at least right now anyway. Why is it then that we have such a difficult time accepting that this happened the way it's supposed to?
For me, my
I'm not just
answer,
talking about you, Vermeil. I'm talking about all of us.
I understand that.
I certainly, I certainly
Go
believe
ahead.
that's the way it's supposed to happen. I'm sorry, Vanel.
No, don't apologize. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
No, I was just gonna say that I think that's where I realized I needed more layers healed in me. I need to be look deeper. Because I think what I thought was if we're God's of the earth, we're supposed to make this change. Which means I basically forgot there is the true God, that I didn't consider in the making this change. I've always thought of it as, if we are the creators on the earth, then why didn't this change happen? That was the question for me.
Ramel,
Yes.
we're created on the earth. Why did other things happen the way they did that we say they happen the way they're supposed to? It's no different. Why is it that we question this to the nth degree because it didn't happen the way we thought it should, when there are other things that did not happen the way we thought they should, and we moved on? What's the difference?
Maybe I wanted this really bad and didn't consider that part, that it happened the way it was supposed to.
Which means we desire everything and get nothing, and desire nothing and get everything. So
Right.
what it is, we are dealing with a disappointment, are we not?
Yes. Which
I'd
would
like
be
to
the
offer a
layer that
little
we
bit.
need to
Oh,
wash
sorry.
out. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, my mouth engaged before my brain did. I apologize. Go ahead.
No apology necessary. So then, is disappointment the layer we have to look at within ourselves?
Yes, absolutely. Because this is not, and sure, I'll yield to you in a moment. This is not a collective thing that can be done. We have to do it within ourselves. I can't do it for you. You can't do it for me. However, we do come to a collective understanding that is disappointment, and with that collective understanding of disappointment, then the question becomes, how does Ron handle his disappointment? How does James handle his disappointment without regard to what it is? How do you handle other disappointments in your life? And I do understand that this is major because it has the propensity to have an adversarial effect on the earth. However, when we look at it spiritually, it cannot possibly have an adversarial effect on the earth. It only can end up being positive, even though it's not following the track that we thought it was going to follow. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
Hello?
I think Cheryl was next. Cheryl, did you have something?
Yes. I've been thinking several things. One is that this current situation forces the world to look at America differently. It forces them to see exactly who she is. And as I watch them make preparations to move on without the United States, to protect themselves, as I watch Congress scrambling to try to save some of the programs and hire all the, appoint all these judges, and all I can say is you're rushing to do what you should have been doing all the time. And so it allows people to see who they really are. You got Pelosi and Schumer, who should by now be gone, and they should have been replaced long ago with other people. We've got folks serving in office. I'm 78, and some of them are as old as I am. Come on, let's be real. We need younger people who are motivated not by money. And so we talked years and years ago about how do you get money out of politics, because that impacts the wishes and needs of the constituents. That hasn't changed on both sides. And that's what people are feeling, that they don't really have a voice. You elect these people and then they go with the PACs. And so to me, what we're seeing is not a nomination for Trump. It's just a composition of what's been happening to us all, and people just being so frustrated that they're going for something that's different, even though they don't really understand what different looks like, even though they voted against their self-interest. And then, every day you see something about, oh, it wasn't Elon Musk, using Starlink to change the votes. It was, the advertising, the misinformation and the disinformation. And again, corporate media is responsible for that. Corporate media is responsible for saying washing all the foolishness this man was spewing. And now they want to sit back and try to figure out, well, who's at fault? Who's to blame? Let them. For me, it's a time for us to come together as a people. It's time for us to come together as a community and figure out how we sustain, support each other, and not only strive, but thrive. We've done it before. It's not something that we can't do again. And I think this really forces us to look at our relationship with our institutions and our businesses and our communities. So while I'm sad about what happened, I had prayed for a different result. I can't help but see that the facade of America has fallen and the world sees exactly who she is. And so it's painful for me. I can't speak for anybody else. It's painful for me, but growth comes with pain. And so I accept that.
This is not about Chuck Schumer or Nancy. This is not about politics. But we're making it that. When Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi were younger, it wasn't no different. It wasn't any different. Matt Gaetz is younger than both of them. So what difference it makes? It's all about a mindset, y'all. This is about a mindset that we have talked about. Now we've come face to face with it. The cover has been pulled off of it. It's no longer a theory. It's a reality. As long as it was a theory, it was easy to continue it. But on Tuesday, it became a reality. It doesn't matter who you voted for. It doesn't matter about the vote right now. It really doesn't. What matters is, have our expectations shifted? Do we expect the change to come from the government? Or are we the government that brings about the change?
I agree with
allow this to frustrate us to the point where we get frustrated with each other, and the same friction that has created this environment begins to create an environment that divides us? Or are we going to look at the sacred writings and see what's going on based upon what has been written, as opposed to trying to analyze the most evil mindset that's ever been on the face of the earth? Think about it. Right now, we're talking about this, and what has happened is the traditional thing that white supremacy does in order to do what it wants to do, and that is this: confusion. The chaos that has been created with those nominations has created the frustrations that's being experienced, not just by us, but by everyone else. My suggestion is turn the TV off, because I agree with so many of the people who are saying that these talking heads, these nominations are meant to confuse you, so that the worst person can get in because you chose the lesser of the two evils. Quite frankly, it should not matter to us who gets in. Because if we do believe that we are who we say we are, whether we can explain it or not, whether we understand it or not, because there are so many things that we know we are, there are so many things that we participate in, yet we can't explain them. We don't have to be able to explain who we are. We don't have to be able to regurgitate the experiences that we're having as the divinity that we are. We don't have to be able to do that, but we do have to believe it. And believing it does not mean that we have to be able that we have to embrace what's going on or be able to explain the confusion in this setting. Let's just take all of that and push it to the side. Let's just take it all and push it to the side. And what do we have left? If we take last Tuesday and wipe it from the face of the earth, what do we have left? All we have left is our desire for peace. Right now, all of this confusion is being presented to us so that people who are in power can do exactly what they want to do. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter to me whether Elon Musk did it with Starlink or whether they brought in people to obviously manipulate the vote. I really don't care. And the reason I say I don't care is not because I don't care about people, it's because I know who's in charge. The energy, the power source is the universe. That's it. That's what's important. And if we push this to the side and look at that, then we realize there are things going on far worse than what's happening in this country. Right now, while all of this confusion is occupying our time, while all of this confusion is directing and guiding and manipulating our attention, the things that's happening in Gaza are far worse than what they were before this election. The things that's happening in the West Bank are far worse than what was happening before this election. Yet, there are still voices who are seeking balance for humanity, and those voices are supposed to be ours. So how do we finally get to a place where our thoughts about what's happening in this environment around us are only the thoughts that's necessary for us to survive in this environment? Example, the only thoughts are, what do I have to do tomorrow? I need to wash the dishes, or I need to wash clothes tomorrow, as opposed to what Trump going to do and who's he going to appoint. We don't need that to survive in this earth. And everything else that we process, let it be spiritual. I'm making every effort to stop processing anything that's coming up from that idiot box called TV. I'm making every effort to only process those things that are necessary for me to survive. I had to take Phoebe to the doctor. I know what I need to do to get that done. I have to make sure that food is prepared. I make sure those are the only things I process. Me processing, okay, how are we going to get rid of Gates' nomination? I don't care about that. I care about people. And when we start caring about those things become our focus. And that shifts our focus from what we should be focusing on. And that's why I feel my frustration. You have to ask yourself why you feel it. And I don't like being frustrated. Because frustration is nothing but low-grade anger. And I'm appealing to you to ask yourself, why are we still analyzing? Why am I still looking at this, expecting a different result, or trying to figure out how to stop it? I simply want to make sure that I have gas in the car so I can do what I need to do. I simply want to make sure that my utility bill is paid. That's it. That's how I survive in this environment. Donald Trump, Matt Gaetz, Biden, Kamala Harris, none of them determine how I survive in this environment. None of them. So I offer to you, well, should I say offer? Or I solicit you to ask yourself, where do you fit in this whole scheme of things that we're talking about? Because I have determined that where I fit is not in a place of being guided by what I see with my eyes or allowing it to affect me emotionally. My guidance,
Pastor Jay, I have a question.
what I feel
I'm sorry.
I need to do to survive in this environment. Go ahead, Evelyn.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Good morning, family. So, if I'm hearing you correctly, are you saying this is not our fight?
No,
Am I
that's exactly what I'm
getting
saying.
the
That's exactly what I'm saying. But we war not against flesh and
okay?
blood. This is not our fight. No. Our fight,
Pastor, good morning, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
our interaction with politics ended when we cast a vote. That's it. Go ahead, Kathy.
Good morning, everyone. It's funny Evelyn asked that question because I remember when I was speaking with you on yesterday, I told you that gearing up for the next 4 years, I have no fight left in me. I feel like I just can't fight this. And you said to me, it's because you're not supposed to fight it. And what I have been hearing is be still and just know that I am God. And then I think about what we looked at, all the joy that we experienced when Kamala was the candidate, and we saw this victory coming and this external joy that we thought we would be able to just bask in was just snatched away from us, like a kid wanting to celebrate Christmas and waking up Christmas morning being told, okay, you're not having Christmas this year. And that's how a lot of people, I think, just kind of felt like deflated after that. But now I've been really thinking about this thing. And we said that Kamala accomplished what she was supposed to accomplish. She came to do what she was supposed to do. And now what I'm looking at, my question becomes, what if she was showing us how to eternalize the joy from the inside out? If the scriptures tell us that the joy of the Lord is my strength, then our strength is found in that joy that she showed us how to experience externally. But what happens when we start to experience it internally? One of the things that she showed us, the one thing that I remember from the last campaign speech that I saw Trump give, he told his quote unquote followers, let's send her, he said, let's fire her, let's send that B home. And you know, I really want to say the word, but I'll be nice. I'll just say B. And they all applauded and clapped. I looked at the name calling, all the derogatory things he said about her, all the things he tried to do to her character. And in all of that, she remained joyful. When they asked, what do you think about what he said about you? Oh, let's turn the page. Let's move on. What is the other part of the lesson that she was teaching us spiritually? Because we looked at everything externally. That's how we got all confused. What if the spiritual lesson was to tap into the joy on the inside of you? And Nick has said it 100 times or more, that your intent, and be what? Just be joyful in the face of all of this hate and all the things that they try to do to us. Joy to me represents remaining in a place of balance. What if we can learn to embrace that? instead of worrying about what we felt from the outside. She showed us from the outside the joy that's internal in us. But we've been so blindsided and so disappointed. And I'm right there with everybody else. That was a hard pill to swallow. But what if, when we are now discussing this, we wake up to the reality that the joy and the power and the true strength still remains in us? And it's not about, like Evelyn just asked, are we gearing up to fight 4 more years or to fight at the end of 4 years to get him out of office? What if we just stay the course and be joyful, learn to tap into who we are on the inside? I remember the first time that he went into office, we said it doesn't matter who's in the White House. We remain who we are. How did we lose sight of that all of a sudden? And now we're worried about who's in the White House. So a lot of the things that we know from the inside, that we really know, that we've taught and that we've held on to, we've kind of forgotten that in the face of this crushing disappointment. And like I said, I'm not minimizing the effects of what happened, because I feel it just like everyone else. But I'm processing it to see, what did we learn from the cosmic spiritual, Black cosmic spiritual mother? And maybe everything that she was showing us was how to be spiritual, and we got caught up in it emotionally, thinking this is the physical outcome of this thing, when she was saying, gear up, choose joy, tap on the inside of who you are, and let that be your strength. Because I showed you, in the face of all of this adversity, I remained focused. I stayed balanced and did not let him cause me to get into cat fights with him, because he's a master of picking a fight with someone. I didn't let him, all the denigration and all the things he said about me. I know I told him who I am. I showed him who I am. And if you think about it, she scared him. She terrified him by just being who she is. And if she had that kind of power, not even recognizing that that's just something that she was doing physically, how much more powerful are we when we do it spiritually? I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. This is GC in Philly. And just to speak on what you just mentioned, Kathy, since the election, and I know we talked about that so many things are going to start to manifest that we'll see that may bring confusion, entanglements. And I think that where we are now is to, be resilient in terms of not getting caught up in that. And I think that in terms of, we talked about the importance of clearing space. I think that sometimes there's so much that we get caught up and entangled with that consumes our thoughts, that consumes our words, that consumes our actions. But I believe that if we are Elohim, then it talks about the importance of being divine ones. And so being able to appreciate being still, knowing that we are God, and not necessarily being caught up with all of the things that entertain our thoughts that cause division and separation. So the power of words, is essential. And I think that, again, starting with the point of knowing that we are Elohim, now how do we rest and recover in that mindset that we can now do, what the Creator is calling for us to do? So I think that entanglement and just clutter, I realized today that I just need to, not entertain that to the point where it causes those breakdowns. So I just wanted to share those thoughts. I'm done.
George, I think we're being told, be still and know that you're God. Instead, be still and know who you are. Quiet yourself. Quiet your mind and know who you are. In other words, become intimate with who you are. Have intercourse with who you are. Let your mind, your emotions, have intercourse with the spiritual essence of who you truly are, and then birth something even greater than what was there from the beginning.
Absolutely. And I appreciate, again, just being able to express my spirit and soul, because yesterday, I had a spiritual encounter where I was able to, communicate, with, the ancestors, and specifically in terms of my, my father. And what was so powerful was just being still and being at peace and just meditating in terms of my perceptions, my experiences, with, my dad. And it was just a loving encounter for me to be able to hear from him, to receive from him in terms of his aura and his presence in terms of what I saw inside. And it was just a peace that surpasses, all understanding, that I can't explain it all, but it was just a joy to be able to have that intimacy. And it was just a blessing to experience that. But it was exactly as what, you're saying and what others have said, just be still, and just love on that experience. And so I just wanted to follow back up, with what you just said, Pastor. I'm done.
Good morning. This is Barbara. Wow, it's a powerful lesson today. The reminder to focus not on the distractions or what the eyes see, but on the spiritual wisdom of what the eye understands and knows. And I agree with you, Pastor. I have no desire to turn the TV on news channels, because what has happened in our exuberance in seeing what the eyes see, we listen to the pundits and we listen to everybody explain what they thought would happen politically. And where has that gotten us? It distracted us. And so since this has occurred, this change, I understand that a major shift has occurred in me spiritually, because I understand that I don't have to listen to the pundits, quote unquote, predict what they think will happen, because that just pulls me in and it sucks me into that political scenario again. And it just, it just shows me the chaos again. And sometimes if I allow myself to, I get churned up in there like a washing machine. And that's just what I choose not to do. I choose not to do that. I choose to just be mindful that nothing has changed spiritually. The shift has already occurred. And whether that is seen externally to my eyes doesn't matter. It's my knowing that I know that it has occurred. And so that's what I am clinging to and holding and not being deterred by, because I can't afford to do that. It just keeps me tied in knots if I look at all of the other stuff. And so I said all that to say that when I see people, I'm the same. As a matter of fact, I notice people are looking directly at me and smiling more than they would have ordinarily, or could it be that I just didn't notice that? I had an interaction with a gentleman in the VA the other day when I went with my husband, and he was wearing his Make America Great hat. And we had a funny conversation. I laughed, he laughed. And I didn't look at his red hat. I looked at the individual and what he was saying. And it was almost like he was forced to talk to me, and he didn't know why. I don't know. But anyway, it was a good conversation. And he and his wife left, said goodbye, enjoyed talking to you. Said, okay, enjoyed talking to you too. I mean, that's the kind of thing that we need to do. We need to not focus on the external, but focus on the energy. Focus on the what the spiritual exudes, because there are going to be so many people who are so disappointed in themselves in the way they voted, and they're going to be so disappointed that they voted for a Trump energy, and they're going to be so burdened with feeling that they blew it themselves, that they're going to need us. They're going to need the energy that we put out there. They're going to need the positivity when they start asking questions about, okay, I blew it. What do I do now? They're going to need that positive energy. And so I choose not to look at the distractions. And I just keep telling myself that. That's a distraction. Don't want to go there. Don't want to think that. And so that's what I've been doing all week long. It's been the most peaceful week. And when Matt Gaetz, when they said Matt Gaetz was Attorney General, I was sitting, my sister Audrey was sitting in the kitchen. I said, my brother-in-law Richard, I said, Matt Gaetz, huh? And went on. I mean, you know, the worst in terms of what we see has already occurred in terms of what we see with our eyes. And so all of this other stuff about appointments, et cetera, it just goes along with what the eyes saw. So if that's the case, I can't stay there. I just have to do my meditations and live. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, Ron, when we were talking, I said to you, I feel a peace, a deep-seated peace. You remember that? A deep-seated peace that I had not experienced before.
Yeah.
A peace that was frightening. It was so settling within me. Why did I feel that? Because my desire was to be 100% focused spiritually. I think that we also felt something that did not happen as well. People don't change unless they have a reason to. And for some reason, I do believe that our enthusiasm came from believing that white people had changed and they were going to vote for this Black woman. They had no reason to change. They had every reason to protect their privilege. This is a world conspiracy, y'all. Did you not hear that Russia is penalizing people for advertising or projecting single relationship without children? That ads cannot be produced in Russia unless it is promoting family. Why is that? Because not only has the European or the birth rate for European and its descendants decreased, but COVID killed a lot of them. And that is the reason we are where we are. Our eggs were in the wrong basket. That's all. Let's just admit that. Whether we did it consciously or not, our eggs were in the wrong basket. Because you knew as well as I did that there was no way in the world that there was going to be a change in the presidency without white women, period. We knew that. And we also knew that this whole thing with Trump and his concepts was not him. He's not that intelligent. It was with the overall thing. Fighting the browning of America / the browning of the world. That's what this election was all about. And again, I revert to what I said at the onset. Christian nationalism, Christianity, is not about Jesus. It's about power. Christianity has never been about Jesus, has never been about God. One guy said that you put the Ten Commandments in the schools and you take free lunches out. That's what Christianity does. This is, when it comes to us, this is about us embracing the reality of who we are, not what our eyes see. Because again, we've said it a million times, what our eyes see is illusionary. What our spiritual experiences are is reality. And we can't reiterate that enough.
Mama,
Yeah.
I actually just dreamed for once, and then I remembered it. And Grandma was in it.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I can't understand you. Speak again.
I said I was dreaming, and then I was at OP, and then
I have no idea what you just said. Did anyone understand that?
No, sir.
No, I did not.
Okay.
No.
Do you care to repeat that again?
It was an accident.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Pastor Jay, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, what Kathy was describing earlier, when she was talking, I saw birthing pains. It's as if, we're going through birthing pains when you're having the pain of going through childbearing. Is that the same thing? And she talked about joy. I don't know, people who have not had kids, but when a woman is going through childbirth, it hurts so bad. You can't even describe the pain. And once the baby is born, you forget the pain. It's joy at the end of all of that pain. So is that the same thing that we're going through as well? That's my question.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. I think we revisited what we talked about the other day, the metamorphosis. Coming out of the cocoon, becoming a butterfly. Painful. Now I can't talk about how the pain of giving birth, but
No, you can't.
no,
But
no.
I was hoping Kathy would comment as well.
Evelyn, I see exactly what you're saying. And that really is, I think it summarizes nicely what I was just saying, because the joy that's experienced from holding that baby, like you said, all the pain is forgotten. And right now, we're in, I guess, the labor part, because we thought that one thing was going to happen and it didn't happen. So now we're pushing through this. And that's why we are talking about it. All of the conversations that we're having is us pushing through, just like we're pushing in labor. Then what is the outcome going to be? Once we've talked about this, once we've settled it on the inside of ourselves, and we choose to remain in a place of balance and joy. And what I mean by that, by joy for me looks like turning off the TV. So I told Pastor, leading up to the election, my TV was on all day almost, listening to what was being said and looking at poll numbers and all the things that I've never done before. I never did that before. I don't care who, I didn't even do that when Obama was running, because I just never cared about that. But this time felt different. The energy felt different. And so there I was looking at all of these things, but now my joy is to recenter myself, to refocus myself, and to remind myself of who I am and the joy that's on the inside of me, regardless of what they do, or because painted a picture of me to tell me that I mean nothing to them in this country, and that the black man is the lowest of the low on the totem pole. We've heard all of that before, but yet we thrive. I think I heard someone earlier say we got to continue to thrive. Cheryl, I think, said that. And we do. That's the joy on the inside. Who are the most resilient people on the face of this earth? We are. Just as the African we are. But what makes us so resilient is because we've never strayed away from our roots of a Kebalan. Hold on to that. Push through this pregnancy. Push through and give birth to the reminder of who you are. And when you can do that, you get back to, I don't care what Trump is saying. He can put every fool that he can find in an office in the White House. And like Barbara said earlier, when they see the disastrous fallout of all of this, you know, we can't be like, who was it that was sitting under the juniper tree angry because Nineveh, somebody was not destroyed. We can't get mad because these people are just being blown out of the water. We can't be happy, rather, and say, well, you deserve it. We got to be the ones to restore balance and order by still being loving kindness. That's our superpower. That's our strength, to be loving kindness and to choose joy in the face of hatred and to be overcomers regardless. And when I'm saying this to you guys, I'm only saying to you what I remind myself of every day because, like I said, it was a hard blow. So I'm not saying this is easy, but I do believe we have it within us to do this, the ability to push forward and birth this balance, this peace, this joy that we saw from the outside, birth it on the inside, and then it'll manifest. But it's not, like Pastor said, going to come through politics. That's where we messed up. We were looking for somebody in the White House. We forget that government is a system. And no matter what your ideas are going into that system, at some point, you conform to the system. To get anything done, you're going to conform at some point and give in and walk away from some of your best ideas. But when we remain the spiritual beings that we are, we don't conform to anything because we know who we are. And that's what we put in the macro, in the universe. So I said a lot to answer your question, Evelyn, but absolutely, I'm 100% with you on what you're saying. Thank you.
Well, everything you said resonates with me. But it's like when you go to the doctor, they're telling you you're gonna have a girl, and you just look forward to that girl. You start buying stuff for that girl, and then when the baby comes, it's a boy. So I see what you're saying. I'm talking about this physically, but still we got both. We still got, I do believe with all my heart, we still got that feminine energy who will rule the United States. I'm not just talking about America, but the United States of America. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Good morning, everyone. This is Janice. I can't help but think, as I've been listening to our discussions, that there, especially Kathy's comment about government as a system, that there is so much that needs to be undone in such an unjust society in how America operates. And I'd really struggle to see how we could break all of that down without some of the fools that our next president is currently hiring. He looks to me like a bit of a wrecking ball crew. And it also seems like that's his job, that's his responsibility, to break all of this down so that we can have something that represents loving kindness instead. That's all.
I agree with you, Janice. That's exactly what it is. And again, this whole thing about about who he's getting, he's doing that to create confusion. And it doesn't matter whether he get the best available or the worst available. It doesn't matter. Do you think that our biggest problem may be that we can't explain who we are, like Ron said in the beginning? Give me let me ask you this question. Excuse me. Let me ask you this question. What is love? Love is not something.
Is that
you can-
rhetorical?
Not really.
You can't explain
Well,
it.
No, you
it ain't
can't.
nothing.
Go ahead,
It
George.
ain't nothing you say. Well, good. It's nothing that you say. Love is something that you do. It's a verb.
Love and
That's
experience.
no.
Right, George? Hello?
Oh, Reb, I just said love is something you do. It ain't nothing you say.
Okay.
That was my response to your question.
Okay. Love is an experience.
Bill here, Rev. I would
This-
think that one could say love is the absence of malice.
Not necessarily. Because you can have malice towards someone and love them at the same time. That's why you have violence within homes. Love is an experience. And love is the experience that you cannot describe. Just like God is an experience, just like Elohim is an experience that you cannot describe. I think we give too much, well, I'm not going to that's in relationships with that love, but I'm talking about something that it is an emotion, it is an experience that you cannot put into words. You cannot tell me what love looks like. Because love hurts, but at the same time, it brings joy. But you cannot define it. So define God to me. If you can define God, you can define who you are.
So part of the human experience then is that we can never fully understand who we are, because I don't think I could ever define God.
I think the human experience is that we can never define who we are, but we can know who we are. I don't have to be able to explain what it means to be a father, but I know I'm one. Does that make sense?
I think the human experience is designed so that you grow out of being human.
Agreed.
You at least grow out of being who you are at the moment and become something more, and then each moment follows the next.
I think the misnomer involved with the human is that we think that we're supposed to remain these material beings in this earth when in reality we've never been material beings.
Yeah.
We've always been spiritual beings who thought we were material beings.
We if you look at our journey, and I'm sure there are people on this phone could do a lot better than me. We looked at where we came from, even what brought us together. We influence our journey. We have been an active participant in this thing. We even talked about we all can readily see the negative things that happen with the pandemic, all the deaths and whatnot. But the positives are it brought two groups of people, or three rather, groups of people together who were all searching for truth and seeing it from a different perspective. And it brought them together so that they could see truth for what it is from different angles and different aspects. Because in those three groups, we covered the math portion of it. We covered the geometry of it. We saw it from all angles. We saw it from what multiplies and what infinity looks like and the spiritual aspects of it. And we moved on and we saw all the other things that happened and that we had an active role in, and we could see ourselves in it, and the thinking and looking at aspects like the design of trees and nature and man and the universe and the planets and the age of Aquarius, and all these things were open to us, and they influenced us, and we influenced them because we brought all this stuff together. This, where we are now, is also a part of that. This election, it is part of who we are and where we are. And it is a part of our experience, just like the rest of this has been. So throughout all of this, what we've done is grown. We've grown and moved from one aspect of self to the next. And we've become more of a community than ever. And that is what this is causing us to do, or inviting us to do, to be a community. To get back, remember your roots. Your roots, as you just said, we are in human form, but we are spirit. And we are spirit that unites that which has come, that which is present, and that which is to come. We are the middle of that. We are in the gap. We are the breach menders. So all of this happened for a reason. All of this happened, and we are part of it happening. There is no escaping that. There is no denying that. So we move on in a positive way because we know that we are still Elohim. And although that may not be as clear to us as something we can explain, as we just talked about love, being Elohim is not something you can put into words. But we each experience it in our own way, and we experience it together collectively as a community when we come on this line. So I just want to reiterate what has been said. We are in a beautiful place. We're in a good place, and just as what that boy name Abraham was in the desert, the famine did not just happen. The famine was his consciousness, where he realized that it is time for me to move forward. It is time for me to move to a different place, because the nourishment I have gotten from what I thought was valuable is no longer valuable to me. So that's where we are, and it is a good place. So we, I guess I'm speaking to trying to anyway what is being said, and I hope once we get off this line, whatever time we do, we feel like this is a good thing. We're not worried about an election. We're not worried about any appointments. We're not even worried about things that we see, because as Nick said last week, meditation, meditation, meditation. Remember who we are. Pick up the phone and let's talk. Let's communicate with each other. I hope I hadn't talked too much. Any questions or comments?
And I have a comment. This is Evelyn. My thing now with me is when I'm feeling kind of having a low moment, low vibration. When I'm having that moment, I remember the song that Earth, Wind, and Fire made, Keep Your Head to the Sky. And you can always look up. You know, that's what helps me. I can always look up. And it helps. It really do. But I look up internally as well, because if I focus on my eye, give light to that eye, look out of that eye, see the light of that eye, it helps me bring balance. The distractions are gone and everything else that I'm dealing with physically. So that's just the comment that I wanted to make. And what you said just makes a lot of sense. What everyone has said this morning, I am so grateful for everybody. That's all I wanted to say, Ron. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bill here, guys. Question, comment, whatever. I was struck by Pastor when you said it just isn't our fight. I can only, the Martin Niemeyer's poem has been going through my head ever since you said that. Basically, break it down if you're not familiar. It's, they came for the unionist. I was not a unionist, so I did not get involved. They came for the socialist. I wasn't a socialist, so I didn't get involved. And it goes on several more stanzas until it says, and when they finally came for me, there was no one left to defend me. So when we say it's not our fight, I can only think of those 5 little girls at the Birmingham church. It wasn't their fight. Schumer, Sweeney, the 3 kids who were killed and thrown in a river back during Mississippi burning, they were fighting for Black rights. Kyle Rittenhouse killed a person at a Black Lives Matter protest, and he was embraced by his community, still is. Dylan Roof killed the 9 people at the Mother Emanuel Church. The cops bought him dinner. It's much as it's hard to define love or God, it is hard to define what's going on there from a social context, but it ain't good. I mean, when the fight is brought to me, I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I will respond. So when you say it isn't our fight, what would you elaborate on that? Because if the fight is brought to us, it certainly is our fight. Going back to mute.
What I mean by it's not our fight is that we don't fight politically. We don't fight as men fight in this material world. We fight spiritually. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, meaning that they are not material. We vote, but we don't fight by trying to force the hand of who feels certain positions. When we fight spiritually, it doesn't matter who's in the White House or who's in charge of anything, because the battle is a spiritual one. We have tried for years to fight in this material world. We did marches, we did riots, we voted, we have influenced legislation, and none of that has changed anything. So the only thing that's going to change anything is this spiritual warfare. So that's what I mean when I say it's not our fight. It's not our physical fight. It's not our political fight. Politics is nothing that we've ever fought with and won. The only thing we've ever won with is spiritual intervention. I hope that helps you understand, Bill. Thank you.
Actually, it does. Thanks. A little history. For years, I was involved with Moms Demand Action, the Giffords gun violence reduction movement. And honestly, I'm just going to admit this. When Trump got into office, I stepped away. I didn't want to be a hypocrite. I don't see a lot of things changing. And yes, it is a spiritual fight. And it's not one that I see us winning, at least at the moment. That's what breaks my heart. Going back to mute.
Well, because it's a spiritual fight, please someone speak after me on this. I don't see us losing. What we have, as everyone has said throughout this hour and some minutes on the phone, we lost focus, and we engaged in something that we had no business engaging in from the perspective that the world always has, and we know better. So if we keep the spiritual journey that we're on, I don't see how we lose this. And the other part of that is, as Pastor said, I gotta quit trying to analyze it. I say I don't see how we lose it, but I don't need to know what that looks like. And I'm gonna stop trying to figure that out. But I'm sorry, somebody else, please. help me with that. What do you see there?
Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Our faith, our spirituality has sustained us. And we get into trouble, we get into the weeds when we try to figure out what the next steps are going to be or what the outcomes are going to be. We have to move on faith. We are faith-filled people. And I'm not ascribing it to any one faith, because I don't think faith has a color or a face or a name. But faith, as a spiritual being, and we have to accept the fact that that's who we are. We are the embodiment of faith, truth, and no, we're not going to know everything. My baby is moving. He's having a nightmare. He's got insomnia. But we are able to do the things that we need to do because we do believe in Elohim. We know who, and I often, when I was a child, and I still do, refer to God as he, she, because to me, if God looks like me, if God looks like us all, then we can't ascribe any one thing to him. He is everything. He is all to us. And so if I know that I serve a God who can look like all of us, if that's not impossible, then any outcome is possible. So it's not up to me to figure out what the end is. But if I have faith and I believe, and I try to live the life that I believe I'm supposed to live, that's enough for me. That's got to be enough for us. Because every time we try to put ourselves in his place and decide, well, it's going to be this or it's going to be that, we run into trouble because we don't have the skills. We don't have the abilities. We are not omniscient. We are not omnipresent. And so just give it up, because we want to be in control. Our nature is to want to be in control, but we have to relinquish that. That's all.
Thank you.
May I speak to that for a moment, if I may? We are created in the image and likeness of God. If our children are created in the image and likeness of us, then they look like us. So if we are created in the image and likeness of God, then we are God. If our life came from a Kabbalah, then it's impossible for us not to be God. We are Elohim. It's not that we worship a God. We submit to being God. Worship means to submit. So we submit to being God. James Richard, if I am James Richard, I am a human. But if I recognize the spiritual essence of who I am God itself. And when we look at being God itself, it's not that God is a he, it's more a it. And when we look at the source of all life, it is the womb of a Kabbalah. So the God of all gods is the feminine energy, which is a goddess. So what I'm saying in essence is this. When we become thoroughly convinced that we are God, then it's not about us not being capable of it. The incapability is because we try to function in two different worlds. We try to deal with what we see with our eyes as well as what we see with our eye, as opposed to having a greater affinity for seeing with our eye and being the God that we were created to be. As far as with faith, I think, Cheryl, that we need to move beyond faith. Faith means that you hope something is going to happen. Faith means that it may or may not happen. However, I don't have faith. I know. And when you know something, you don't have to doubt whether or not it's going to be. There is no doubt in my mind that the structure of this country has fallen. The manifestation of it depends on how we embrace who we are. There is no doubt in my mind that everything has taken place the way it's supposed to. There's no doubt in my mind about that. One of the major weaknesses that we have is that we have forgotten that the colonizer doesn't just take your land. The colonizer takes your language. The colonizer takes your culture. The colonizer takes your God. And the God that has been taken from us is the God that we are. We have been told that you go to hell if you believe that you're God. We have been told that when you stand up and say that I am God, that's blasphemous. That is not blasphemous at all. That's reality. Why is it that people who brought into existence a religion that's 2,000 years old go tell me I'm wrong because I say I'm God, when at the same time they're trying to convince me that they are God? And the imagery that they give me is all about them being God, when in reality, I am God. Do I understand what that means? No, I don't. I understand portions of it. I experience portions of it, but do I know in totality, to the extent that I can explain it to you with the clarity that is so clear that you don't have any questions about it? No, I cannot do that. But I can tell you this, whether I am able to explain it or not, I do know what my experiences are. And my experiences have been that I am God. I know who I am. Now, there years ago, when I was engaged in what is called charismatic ministry, I remember laying hands on people who had no sight and they saw again. I remember this child being brought to our congregation who was dead, and Linda laid hands on him, or her rather, and she regained life. So that was God showing us, our Creator showing us that we are the creators in this earth, showing us that we are the governors of life in this earth. But what we have done is abdicated our godly responsibilities and allowed creatures who are barbarians to be gods in our lives. And all that they have done is destroyed everything in their wake, as opposed to bringing harmony to the earth. And by advocating our responsibility, what we have done, we have allowed chaos and brutality to be the order of the day. Right now, what we have an obligation to do is to cease our belief in what the church has taught us, that we can't be God. We have to embrace the reality of our creation. And the reality of our creation is that we are God. And as long as we believe that we have to worship a God that is far off, or that we got to die and go to heaven, nothing in this earth will change, because nothing changes in the earth unless we change it. And we are the gods who change it. That is the reason we are the children of Akabalon. We are the children of the sun. The sun is the source of all life. Akabalon is the source of all life. We are the children of Akabalon. Europeans are children of our children. They are not the children of Akabalon. They are not the children who came from the womb of the African woman in the beginning. They are the children who came afterwards. They are the children who became as a result of genetic changes in the human. It did not come from the beginning. So all I'm saying in essence is this, that we have to embrace beyond the shadow of a doubt that there are no creators in the earth except those who were created to be creators. And what we have done, we have allowed white people to tell us we play the race card. We have allowed white people to tell us that you're trying to say that you're superior to white people. That's not what we're saying at all. We are saying that we are the progenitors of all of humanity. It is white people who are saying that they are superior to us. Superiority is not something that we have ever espoused, and we have always espouse the idea and the concept that all of us are made from the same blood and that all of us came from the same source, meaning that the beginning of the source of humanity was that African, was the womb of Cabalon. And out of that African who came from the womb of Cabalon came the rest of humanity. So we have a responsibility to bring order to this earth. We have a responsibility to govern our children, to discipline our children. That is our responsibility. And the discipline of our children is not corporal punishment. The discipline of our children is to live an example, and that example is one of spirituality, one that seeks loving kindness, one that goes far beyond manipulation, one that requires that we participate in the spiritual, in every spiritual aspect of humanity as well as this earth. We don't have a choice. If we do not continue the journey of spirituality, if we do not stay the course, then we again have reverted to being colonized all over again. And we cannot allow that to happen. The opportunity has been given to us. This election, this period of time for the last 20 years plus has given us an opportunity to be who we are. We have the golden opportunity. Everything that is wrong with this earth, everything that has brought despair, everything that has brought chaos, everything that has brought death to this earth has been presented to us in this last election. It has been served to us on the platter. The question is, are we going to join them on the platter and be as they are, or are we going to see them as children who are in need of guidance and begin our spiritual guidance by continuing to put in the macro an understanding of what truth and life is, so that it would be open to those who truly want change. People don't truly want change in their lives until they are pushed in a corner. The reason that the African is at a point in his life that it wants change is because the African is backed in a corner. We are in a tight place. We are in the space where no one on this earth gives a damn about us except us. And some of us don't care about ourselves. That's where we are. And until white people suffer, until white people, especially white women, be pushed in a corner and dominated to no end, they will not seek change. They will not receive anything from the macro that is not going to help them keep their privilege. And we must stay the course so that that privilege can be shaken, that privilege can be taken away from them. And regardless of how much they suffer, we have to stand back and let them suffer until they decide that they want to experience change. That's where we are. That's who we are. And I hope that what I am saying is not only received but understood, because quite frankly, I don't see any way forward without us sitting in a space like in bleachers, and we're watching all of this take place, and no one wants us to reach out to help them until they are dominated to the point where they cannot control it. Right now, why is it that African women are saying we will not save you anymore? Because every time that white people, especially white women, get in a bind, they call for feminine movement inclusive of us. And then as soon as they get what they want, they throw us away. It is time for that to change. And I am saying, I am making a declaration that no longer will we be the saviors of those who don't want to be saved. We will sit back. And we will sit back and continue to put truth into the macro, continue to look at the sacred writings and open up the sacred writings so the energy and the life of them can permeate this environment, so that there will be something to turn to when people truly want change. And I may ask, why is it I keep talking about the white women? Because they are the most dangerous people on the face of the earth. They are the most distrustful people on the face of the earth, because white women have always been the ones who have perpetuated white supremacy for the express purpose of maintaining their white privilege. White women are the greatest danger, because white women, when they feel threatened, they back up and they become that little innocent, that little innocent person who crying out, well, he whistled at me. And then you end up with an Emmett Till. I have no compassion for what they are going to go through, but I do have compassion for them when they get to a place where they simply see that there is no other way other than for them to be the feminine energy that they were created to be, as opposed to being a footstool for white men. That's what I'm trying to say. And right now, if we allow ourselves to get engaged in this political fight, then we will remain the enslaved people to those who are the governors, who are the rulers of this of the politics of this earth. We cannot afford to do that. We have never had an opportunity to be where we are now until now. And now that we are in this space, let's take this opportunity and make sure that we as humans, not just the African, but our children also, those are offsprings, that we come to a place of balance and harmony. And again, this is far beyond the color of your skin. This is about your mindset. Never again will I ever believe what the church has taught me. I do not believe that Elohim is my creator. I am Elohim. I believe that Elohim was created for the express purpose of occupying a body. I do not believe that Jesus is my savior. I do not believe that Jesus was resurrected from a cross and go come back again and take me to heaven. I do not believe that. All of that is garbage that was put into our psyche by those who wanted to perpetuate white supremacy, Christian nationalism. That's what it's all about. Why is it that you would have a Mike Huckabee to be in Israel saying that there is no such thing as a homeland for Palestinians? This belongs to Israel. If that is true, when Audrey said the other day, it is illegal for a DNA test to be had in Israel. Why is that the case? Because they know doggone well that they do not belong to that property. They know that they are Eastern Europeans, and they know that they are colonizers, and they are colonizers who were placed there by the colonizers of Britain, France, America, and Germany. They were placed there by them. So we have to get to a place where we understand the reality of it and not be afraid to speak it. And let me tell you this, there may be 30 people, there may be 5,000 people, there may be 30,000 people. If all 30,000 of all the people walk away from me because of what I'm saying and because of what I believe in, I'll stand on it all by myself, because I do believe that what we have been teaching is the truth and nothing but the truth. I do believe that the truth cannot be destroyed. I do believe that the truth can never be overridden by anything or anyone. The only way that truth will not prevail is for us to change our course, or to get so despondent until we give up, or to engage in a political system that was designed to keep us struggling. If we refrain from doing those things, then truth will always prevail. I'm done. Thank you.
Ashe.
All right. Questions or comments, anyone?
I'll just give you an encouraging one, Rev. No one's going to walk away from your position because you would be perhaps surprised, perhaps not to find out, but in the progressive, yes, largely white, but all races and genders and everything attend some of the conversations I'm involved in. They use exact same words. You are discussing themes that among progressives are universal. We're talking about the exact same topics in the exact same way, sometimes using the exact same phraseology. You won't be abandoned, my friend. You've got allies.
Thank you.
How do you feel? Are we in a good place, everybody?
Yes.
I would say as much as I can in the current environment.
Okay. Okay. We're in a good place. Thank you. Thank you for your energy today. Thank you for your comments and the discussion. Thank you, everyone. And again, if there's still George, did you have something, man? You good? Okay. If there are other concerns you want to discuss, well, hey, that's what we're here for. Okay. But we are going to move forward because this is the time that we are needed most. And we readily accept this opportunity that the universe is giving us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I hope everyone have a great day. Enjoy your day. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. Okay. 11 a.m. Have a good day.
Thank
as
you.
well. Have
Thank
a
you,
beautiful day.
everyone.
Everyone, bye-bye.
Take
Bye.
care.